Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen. We got a lot to talk about, as always. Actually, because the Knicks haven't played in, I don't know, a few days before the All Star break, we're actually going to do a review of the season up to this point. We're going to look ahead to the rest of the season. We'll also talk about the upcoming game against Philadelphia after the All-Star break. We'll talk who we think may be the X factor going, for the rest of the season before we're back at full strength and so much more. Let me bring in the panel tonight, mixing it up. Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, delusional Nick fan. How you guys doing? Shout out to the chat, by the way.
No, I'm good. Ready to talk Knicks, as
Pe-
always.
Peace, Queen. Pleasure to be back. Feel like it's been a minute. I mean, other than earlier today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, well, let's get this out of the way before we get to the real deal. Any thoughts on All-Star weekend, the entire weekend, the game, the 3-point contest, the dunk contest? Any thoughts you have before we move on to talking Knicks?
Man, I think the NBA definitely needs to kind of switch it up. The All Star games that I kind of grew up watching, it was competitive. You kind of actually look forward to seeing those matchups, seeing the top players in the league kind of go at it and showcase what they can do. Now it's just a track meet of everyone just their main concept is staying healthy and not being competitive. So I thought it was kind of awful. The judges for the dunk contest, wow, that to me, and not even to Jacob Toppin, but just all across, I felt that it just wasn't consistent. Like the champion, he did a dunk that I haven't seen before, his very first dunk, and they gave him like what a 40-48. I'm like, nah,
Right.
that's a 50, like
Yeah. Oh, the one where he threw it up a
he
little
threw
bit.
it up, caught it
Yeah.
right to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a 50. So I it needs to switch up, honestly. Put previous, dunk champions on the panel rather than the old 1985, 84, which is no disrespect. But it's just get some more, get the latest NBA champion, I mean dunk contest champions to sit there and be the judge. And I think that'll be better. 3-point contest is always going to be legit. They're actually out there to win it.
Right.
So that, and then even add in Sabrina versus Steph, I thought that was actually awesome as well. And she held her own, which I thought Sabrina was going to take it, to be honest.
Mhm.
So that's how it wasn't lopsided on that aspect. Then they need to figure out something, honestly.
Yeah. And to your point about the 3-point shooting contest, maybe going forward, the winner of the 3-point contest for the NBA and the WNBA will have a shootout the following year
Yeah, no,
in
I
All-Star weekend. So that
that's
would
good.
be Dame and whoever wins in this upcoming NBA All-Star game. I think that'll be a good addition. I was reading some post on Twitter. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was only gonna say that they I've heard that they spoke about a rematch for Steph and Sabrina at women's W the women's All Star. If you know what I mean, if it doesn't mess with Team USA. So there's a possibility of that to heighten their viewership as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, definitely.
yeah, I did hear that. I was listening to Twitter. I was reading the Twitter timeline, and some people were saying that, and then Jarrell said this on in the chat on your show, Tony, that maybe we shouldn't expect it's an exhibition game, and maybe we shouldn't expect it to be competitive. They had a clip by Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he said the same thing. He said this is an exhibition game, is fun. So for them, they're having a ball. He said it's an exhibition game, it's fun. And he said, I don't ever see it being really competitive where people are really out here trying to win. It's an exhibition game.
I
So
I
after
think
hearing that, maybe I need to bring my expectations down a little.
I also think it only takes one person to make it turn serious. You know what I mean? It only takes one person to be out there and play some defense, and
Mhm.
and they may get looked at funny, like what you're doing, like Devin Booker getting double team in the summer games or whatever. But
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That's all it's gonna really take. Somebody to challenge someone else, and
Mhm.
then the competitive juices start to flow. But to your point, delusional. In the past, they were way more competitive because it was a lot more pride. Even in the blowouts, even when you know what I mean, the East lose by 15 or whatever the case, they were fighting to win. They were trying to win.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It wasn't just jacking up threes, and I think that's the biggest part of the game that maybe makes it not as entertaining as it used to be because
Mhm.
the league is pretty much a shooting league, and the all-star is going to reflect that times whatever. You know what I mean, and that's what it was. You don't really defend the 3-point shot if you jacking it up from half court. You know what I mean, like it's I think that's the bigger problem, and that's probably not going to change.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change. Like you said, everybody is kind of friendly in the league in a sense. I remember even watching some of the rookie sophomore games. Those games used to be competitive as well because you got the rookies coming in that wanted to establish themselves and kind of dominate over those second year players. So I just think it's like you said, it's a friendlier league. So
Is it now? Is now G League versus the rookies?
it's all over. I don't even know the concept anymore on what they do that first night.
I didn't see it, so I don't know,
Same
but I,
here.
I thought I read or heard somewhere that it's G League versus the rookies, or maybe G League's versus the first and second year players, something to that extent. If that's the case, I would assume that would be more competitive
Right,
than
the G
the
League
actual
guys.
yeah, because they,
Right.
you know what I mean, they're trying to make a name for themselves. Some of them are trying to put themselves in draft rankings. Um, you know what I mean, if they on the elite team, the Ignite team, so yeah. I,
But
I would think those would be competitive.
that should tell you, like, a lot of people didn't watch Friday, so that should tell you where the direction of the All Star Weekend is kind of going. Where we literally used to sit down and watch every night, whether it was the rookie, sophomore, or the celebrity game at a certain point in
True.
time. Nobody really kind of pay attention anymore, so something got to be done.
Yeah, but I mean, and like somebody said, we say this every year, but it's always very successful in terms of turnout at the games anyway, at the events, and I'm pretty sure it's already always successful in terms of revenue, right?
Right.
And the players enjoy it, being around each other and having a good time. Who knows what's going on, parties and what? I'm sure they're having a
Oh
ball.
yeah, yeah, totally.
I think it's just us fans who really want to see, you know, um, I don't know, Luca and Tatum really go at it in a in an all-star game. You know what I mean?
And put it in perspective, you watching from your house, it's totally different. You know what I mean? Anybody who's complaining, I guarantee you, if they were there, I
Right.
don't care how the game looked, what the score was. You know what I mean? They would have had a totally different experience. You know what I mean? Than trying to watch
That's
the game and look at it from a competitive atmosphere rather than entertainment.
right. I mean, and you're right, Tony, because like I said on your show, I enjoyed the individual performances. Like I enjoyed Towns pulling up from three and then the behind the head dunks and the things he was doing on his way to 50 points. I enjoyed Halliburton opening up the quarter with 5 straight threes from deep. And I enjoyed Dame Lillard pulling up from half court, just three after three after three after. And, and they were allowing him to have it. Somebody would get the ball and, knew he was hot, and give it to him. Basically, they were putting on a show. The East really looked like they wanted to win. The West seemed like we could take it or leave it. Yeah.
The
Any other
West
thoughts?
was I didn't
Mhm.
see the game, but the West was considered the favorites to win.
They were
Do
stacked.
you
Yeah.
do
What's
you
that?
do you do you think that had any part of it? Thinking like we could probably breeze through it as opposed to. Do you think the East took it more serious? Well, I mean that's what you're saying, But do
Right.
you think the West kind of underestimated the East, or
I think the East was probably, I don't know. They just seemed to me to have much more energy and focus than the West from the
Well, look,
tip.
the West got Luca and Jokic, who really they don't really care for the game as much as you could tell. So they're just out there just enjoying themselves. While, and then of course the West was older, so they had
Yeah.
multiple compared to the East, who had multiple first
Mhm.
timers.
Right.
So you got certain things to prove. So
I
Yeah.
seen I seen a meme that said All Star Luka Doncic, and then had a picture of Ben Simmons.
oh, totally, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And LeBron said he was only going to play so many minutes. He played more minutes than I thought he would play, though. I think he played pretty much the first half. I'm not sure if he came back in the third. I don't remember. Some of these players you didn't even like when Donovan Mitchell got, I said, oh, Donovan Mitchell on the team. Like some of these didn't really, either they didn't get a lot of light or minutes, or they did, but they were just in the background. So you didn't even recognize they were on the team, like Trey Young, Donovan Mitchell. I was like, wow, Donovan Mitchell is on the team. I forgot about him. Anyway, it was it was what it was. And to Jarrell's point, shout out to Jarrell. He was like, everybody want competitiveness to one of their players get hurt. If Brunson would have got hurt playing a competitive all-star game, I think we would have all been pissed.
Well, I'll combat that really quickly. And this is something that Kobe said, years ago. He said, "Hey, you go to the rec center and see these guys playing basketball at the UCLA." And he's like, these guys go twice as hard at UCLA than they do in the All-Star game. So what's the difference? You balling just as hard and rather than do that in front of millions and thousands, you do that in front of your peers. So that ego still should be out there. So yeah, and no one's saying go full throttle. Like these guys go out there, I feel like that's 25% effort that they kind of give out there. All I ask is for a good 60, good 55. You can stay and play some defense, but if you get blown by, you let them go by. That's what they used to do in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes are just standing still, just swiping the hand while they run by. I'm like, all right, come on now. Like, but yes, it's definitely over for the All-Star game. But
Yeah,
I,
you
maybe
kind
for me, it's like y'all could do more, and I think I'm gonna hold on to that. So it's like, nah, that's nonsense. You guys can still play defense and not get hurt. Usually when you get hurt is when you're kind of doing too much, taking the charge or doing all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's a
but
good
yeah,
point.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I mean, I'm lowering my expectations, but I hear what you're saying. You keeping yours.
I gotta keep
You're
it.
not asking for a lot, but you asking for a little bit more than they're giving right now.
Because even Giannis, for the most part, in the beginning, you saw Giannis was trying to grab boards, trying to play some type of D. Then it looked like he kind of eased up. I guess somebody said, "Yo, Giannis, this All-Star game, sir, take it easy."
His coach, Doc was coaching, like, relax.
Probably, it's like, all right, take it easy.
You ain't played this hard doing. Nah, I'm kidding. They like 3-7 or something like that.
they was like Doc got one more win as a Bucks coach. I mean, as the Bucks coach than he does as the All-Star coach.
Wow. All right. Anything else on the All-Star break before we move into the Knicks? All right. I'm gonna change up my usual. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just gonna say it ain't Kobe Bryant, but I was gonna say the same thing. Jeff Teague said these guys play harder at Rico Hines runs than they do it in the All-Star game. So I
Right.
mean,
Do you think it's because it's off season as opposed to during the season and you got a game like within a week?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna change up my usual question. Who and what stood out for you this season up to this point?
Hmm.
I got an answer, so I'll go. It's got to be Hartenstein for me. You know what I mean? Like Brunson has elevated his game. that was a question last year. Like, oh, can he play better than he did last
Mhm,
year? He has, but you know what I mean. It's not out of the realm of you know what I mean, conception. Hartenstein, on the other hand, I think him stepping in, filling in for Mitch, his defensive numbers, he still hasn't shown us that jump shot yet, but just his the way he affects the game, and,
mhm.
we didn't lose a beat. You could argue we got better with him as a starter. So he probably is the biggest like surprise like
Mhm.
so far this year for me.
All right, I got two. I got two actually. And two for me. The first one I'm gonna go is Coach Tibbs. And I'm gonna continue to kind of go with Tibbs whenever we are successful because I was the one that was advocating to get him out of here with certain decisions that he make. But how he had his team playing, and when he has his players, how they play well, as a team. I'm all in on the Tibbs experience. And then of course our second. Actually, I want to go with Mitch. Beginning of the season, Mitch was all all defensive, all NBA defensive, all
Mhm.
defensive player of the year type play. And this is what we knew Mitch could do once he's healthy, once he get his mind into the game, which makes me think that Mitch has more to his game. But of course, is the injury bug. But those are my two. But Hartenstein came in at close second.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could be free with it. However, you could be more than one one thing.
I mean,
Um,
I see the chat saying DiVincenzo, a couple
yeah,
DiVincenzo votes out there.
yeah, yeah. For
But
sure.
I expected that from Dante from seeing how he
Really,
played. Yo,
he on
Queen,
another level
we
though.
could go back. Well, yes, not Dante Inferno, but from when we first got Dante, and I was like, yo, you should have seen how he was shooting in Golden State, and then even when Steph went down, he started and he was still carrying that torch. Not the whole full offensive wise, but just how fluent his shot was.
Right.
Um, yes, he's on another, but I kind of expected that that camaraderie with him and Josh, and of course with Brunson. So, but shit, you right though. That's on the next level for
Yeah,
sure.
because I mean, I was pounding, the table for him to take Grimes' spot, and he was actually my breakout player of the year or X factor player. I just thought that he wasn't at his ceiling yet. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, we know what Devo is. This is who he is." I was like, he's had a lot of injuries throughout his career. He may not be at his ceiling yet. And man, he's taking a leap because sure we all thought he could shoot, but this is like another level. And as a matter of fact, when Brunson went out, was it Brunson?
Brunson was out, yeah.
When Brunson went out,
He led the team in scoring.
and you saw him handling the ball, you saw him putting the ball on the floor because that was my thing. I was like, look, how many players do we have on this team that can create their own shot behind Brunson? Randall, okay, yeah, but in limited space because he's playing, down low. OG, he may have that mid range and the pull up, but I don't know if he has that mentality. I don't know if that's that aggressiveness. He kind of like if it comes to me, it comes. If it's not, not. Who do we have? DiVincenzo is a nice shooter. He can put it on the ball some, but I don't know if I would say he can get you a shot. I mean, with Brunson now, can he do it in the playoffs? Another story. But with Brunson out, I definitely saw more from him. It made me a bit more encouraged that his ceiling could be even higher, actually. So yeah, Devo definitely stood out. But what stood out for me the most is, and this is a testament, I think, to Tibbs as well, how this team went from whatever you considered us at the start of the season, perennial playoff team or whatever, to a championship team, how OG fit in seamlessly and we started to win. How then the front office went and got Burks and just like that, we're in the contender conversation now. To me, there's another level between being a contender and being an actual champion, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes that can take seasons for that to happen, but that's what stood out for me, just how this team has transformed since the beginning of the season with the new players. And we have yet to even see Burks and Bogdanovic with our full complement of players. And I think that's what stood out for me. And that includes our defense. How much better our defense got, particularly with OG, particularly once Mitch went down. We was like, oh, yeah. And actually, I mean, our defense was slipping a little bit with Mitch. It was really slipped after he left. And I think, I forgot what game it was. They said, we got to go get OG. OG came in here, one player, and I think other players gave effort because he was here. It changed everything for us um, on the defensive end.
No, it definitely did.
Anything else, person or thing that
Well,
that's
I would go with, like I said, OG, but we only got him in a spurt, a small spurt. So he did affect a huge pivotal time period because we were just playing 500 basketball, and I still want to give it to Tibbs because we had a tough NBA start of the season, and we were still able to come out and be around 500. And then of
Mhm.
course we made the trade and just kind of took off. So
Right.
um, yeah, that OG trade. It's still surprising me because I like I said, maybe it's just the delusional aspect of me, but I was like, getting OG is gonna be good, but I don't think it pushed the needle. This man just destroyed everything. He's the way he defends, not only is just like he can just guard everyone, like he was what and I know Queen is like you still thinking about him, but he is what Dag, what's my guy? Cam Reddish was supposed to be where
Mm,
a 6'8", 6'7" wing that can guard point guards at the start of the initiation. Then of course switch on the wings that can guard four. So he's and then knocking down 40% from the corner shot. So yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely can. He's definitely someone I'm waiting for honestly to get back to see what it can do.
yeah. And I think it was more. I mean, it's him, but I think it was his fit that
Yes.
kind of unlocked a lot of things on this team because now it became Brunson and Randall running that offense. Whereas before it was Brunson, Randall, and then at times RJ, but RJ never seemed to be incorporated in the offense. It was like, all right, it's RJ's turn, so
Right.
to speak. And I think, with RJ, because RJ was gonna make it be known, I can listen, I can score and I'm not playing off of those guys. I can play off of them,
Hmm.
but I can also initiate. And I think with Barrett gone, that's just not OG's thing.
No.
And so it just came up to Randall and Brunson to kind of lead us offensively and have those other guys play off of them. And you can see the offense smoothed out. It was
It's
always
so
pretty good.
weird though.
Smoothed out,
It's
right?
weird. Like my thing is, we could have played like that prior before, but it felt like Tibbs said, "Okay, we got more IQ players. Let's add in, these IQ plays." And I'm like, we could have ran certain. It felt like a whole new set, like multiple new sets he brought in, and it's like, wow, okay, like total different team, and it makes sense when you have two prominent guys that clog up the basketball rather than three, because now you got to try to implement where is RJ going to get his shots within the offense. Now you're clogging up certain plays so they can't run fluent. Now you OG, yeah, I'm a spot up, I'm a cut. I'm not going to sit there and bring my guy to your guy in a sense. And then of course, when Brunson or someone go to the bench, you saw that they try to incorporate him to get his shots. And I know Queen, you said it kind of surprised you a little bit of what he can do with the posting up, hitting the mid-range shot of that nature. So it's like, okay, he does has a wider game on his offense. So Yeah, no, it definitely changed it. Then you bring Hart. Hart can actually go back to guarding guards now,
Correct.
which kind of opened that up and took the stress. And his offense game needs to show up definitely, but he was able to get into transition off of made shots and stuff like that. So
Yep.
it definitely changed the dynamic.
Yeah. And the thing, and also having Hartenstein, even if he's not shooting, he can move the offense along. He can hit, cut his, back door. So the offense just smoothed out. I don't know. Maybe there was some new sets, but if he's doing a read and react, and you have everybody on the court who's an offensive threat, everybody on the court who's a high IQ player, the same offense can look differently
Yeah, yeah,
because you have players reading the defense and cutting, and you have people who can actually make the pass to the cutter. Um, and the next thing you know, the ball is moving more freely, the offense is looking fluid. And that's what I thought anyway. I just thought it was the players. I'm like, the players we got, Randall, Brunson, RJ, these pound players, like pound the ball type players. I don't know if we're gonna see a smooth offense, but we have. We have, you know. Um, well, we probably answered this. I want to say who was the surprise player up to this point. We kind of answered it, right?
yeah. I guess we can go with Dante. Dante, like you said, with the injuries, he's kind of catapulted to a whole nother plateau, whole nother. Like he's literally getting up like 20, 24 shots a game, and about 50% of them are 3-pointers, and he's consistent. So yeah. The thing is, when we're at full strength, how that offense is going to look, where the shot selections are going to go. So I'm curious with that.
Yeah. Somebody said Precious is the surprise player.
Ooh. I mean, rebounding. He's a big, so you expect rebounding from the bigs. But
Mm.
in Toronto, he was knocking down a 3-point at a better clip than he's doing here. So maybe that's what's sitting sour with me for me not to really go forth with that. Because yes, he's been consistent with averaging a double off the when he was starting. But I'm like, yo, knock down those threes. But maybe it's look, my expectations are high now, and I think that's what's wrong. They started playing too well. But yeah, Precious is definitely he's definitely in a runner up with that.
His defense, I think, has been superb. I mean, you talk about OG being able to guard 5 positions. I think Precious can guard 4. You know what I mean? And that helps to have 2 of these guys when I mean, I wasn't expecting I thought everything we got from Precious was going to be a bonus, and
Mhm.
now it's becoming expectation. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, all right, what can we do with him? Is he a long-term piece? You know what I mean? Like, he's still young, and from the Bronx like me, so I'm always going to support that.
The
And
Knicks.
the OG thing, I just wanted to add in the selflessness is also. I mean, the IQ is huge, but the fact that he's selfless, you know what I mean? So he's not even in that second unit, when, and this is no knock, but when RJ was in that second unit, it was like, this is my time, right? And he was going for his. Even in the second unit, you don't see OG just, I mean, and maybe it could be a knock, but he don't just try to take over the game in the second unit. He still fits in, he still finds his spots, you know what I mean, and takes advantage of more opportunity, but he doesn't try to take advantage in a bad way, you know what I mean, like overusage.
I agree. I do think he's a little more aggressive though when he's in that second unit. Like he's a bit more assertive.
But it's
Now,
not forceful.
yeah, yeah, forceful in the sense of taking bad shots and
Yes.
yeah, no,
Yes.
no, it's not. It's not. But you could tell, like Tim might have said, "All right, this is your time. We putting you in the second unit. This is your time. I want you to be aggressive. Put the ball on the floor. Look for your shot a little more." And I think that's kind of where we were able to see. Oh, he got a little. He had a little something. Um, Chanel Phillips said Deuce McBride is clearly the surprise of this season. I mean, I think he's playing better. I don't know if he's more surprising over those other guys, but he's definitely playing better. Thoughts on Deuce?
He was gonna be my honorable mention. I was literally gonna, and then I seen you highlight it. I'll let it rack.
For me, remember I used to watch Deuce when he's with the Westchester Knicks, and every time he went down, he's averaging a triple double. So if you can do that, and consistently knocking down 3 pointers, I'm like, all right, it eventually has to transition into the NBA. Eventually, whether it's in spurts or minutes, and especially for Tibbs to kind of have faith in him, I kind of figured Deuce was a good NBA rotational player. So yeah, definitely not surprising.
Okay. All right. Um, yeah, I don't. I think to me it would be Devo, and just the level at which he's playing right now is a surprise for me. I'm not really that surprised about iHeart because his per 36 kind of said he could do this, but how many times have a per 36 said something and then when the play actually got the minutes, they weren't able to do it? Um,
I think that's
so
fair.
yeah, but he was able to do it, and he has such a high motor. Um, yeah. To your point, something you said earlier about keeping Precious, the Knicks have major decisions to make this summer on this roster.
Can I
Major
can I
decisions to make.
throw something out there? Remember,
Absolutely.
they said this year is this off season is where the Knicks feel like they're going to get their star. So I figured Precious, Bogdanovich,
Mhm,
certain other guys on this roster could be included in that trade that
mhm.
they want to do. So it could be a sign and trade, this and that. So I think the Knicks are in a great position going into the off season to still capitalize on this potential, disgruntled superstar.
Yeah. I asked this question last show, and I'll ask it now. Do we need a star though? Like, if
Mm.
you listen to the fan base, this is a except for Keith Turner. This is a championship contending. Shout out to Keith. That's my guy. This is a championship contending team, at least on paper, right? We have
Right.
to we
Right.
have to play the games. Um, a lot of us believe in the duo of Brunson and Randall in terms of, obviously you have to surround any duo with an adequate supporting cast. And again, every team is trying to upgrade, right? Boston was going to trade, if the reports are true,
Brown.
Jalen Brown for KD if they
Right.
were able to. So every team is always looking to upgrade. But the reports from the Knicks, excuse me, from everyone reporting on the Knicks is the Knicks are keeping their picks because they're going in after that star going. So the question I have is, do we believe in this team as presently constructed more than the front office in terms of being a championship contending team?
We Knicks fans, of course we believe that. Of course we believe that, especially with how the team is playing now. But you also got to think like a general manager or a president. Let's say Randall plays phenomenal in the playoffs this year. So we like, okay, awesome. Finally, we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then, of course, let's say we lose, or even if we do get to the finals in a sense and lose. But then Giannis, it's like, all right, we didn't do well, this and that. You telling me if Giannis is not available and we could get him for Julius and let's say those picks, we'll be fools not to make that move. So it's tough. I will stay pat as we see right now, and then just kind of see what's available. If it's another player like a Donovan Mitchell in a sense, or whatever, then of course you stay away from that tier of a star player. But if you can get you a superstar, that's a forward. I think we're legit with our guards and small forwards. But if we can get like a superstar center or power forward, you got to make that move.
But I'm with that though. But it's one thing. This is our team. We believe in our team, and then Giannis becomes available. That's one thing. But to be the Knicks are actually out there looking for the star, waiting for the star. I don't know. To me, maybe I'm reading too much into it. It just seems like it sounds to me that they're not sold on the team as presently constructed.
No, I look at it like they want to be as good as they could possibly be currently, but they want to continuously be in a position that if the star is available, you could put your name in the hat as well. You know what I mean? I think that's the way I'm looking at it. When they say actively and are ready. I think they mean they have the pieces in place to make the move if it comes up. I don't know if the target is identified and the you know what I mean and what they got to move and who they want to move is solidified at this point. I think all that is it's more of a wait and see.
No, so I think this team surprised, the organization as well, with how well they play. The OG trade obviously kind of blew it out the waters and we went on a run. And then of course the injuries happened and they're like, look, we need to stay afloat, which is why they made the trade for Burks and Bogdanovich. So, and now we do have an overall team, but then of course this team construction, it seems like it's just for this year, in a sense, because you have expiring contracts, you have players that literally probably won't be here next year due to the value that they're accumulating. So I think it's inevitable that a trade would occur. But if you're saying this year, let's run it how we feel, I'm good. But next year, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be the same team next year. You
You
muted, Queen.
muted, Queen.
What do you think we need? Like, do you think we need a superstar or do you think we just need a number three?
Oh no, so I think we're good. The way we're constructed right now with a healthy Knicks, we're good. I think this is a contending team. I think it's a team. Like you said, I've spoke about this before. This is what was it? That was a '04 Detroit, '03
Mhm.
Detroit. It gives you that vibes and that feel. So and they went to the conference finals and the finals multiple years, but they had the same team. Like if Precious was still on he had multiple years, I feel good. If Hartenstein had multiple years, I would feel good. OG's becoming a free agent, so I would feel better if we had these guys for multiple years. But 100%, if we had this team to go out with say 2-3 more years, oh Queen, this is a championship team. We have every inch of basketball pause covered. Honestly, you have a solid point guard that can shoot threes. You have a backup point guard that can defend and knock down threes. You have a two guard that's shooting over 40% and still plays great defense in DiVincenzo. You have a small forward that can lock up any forward and guard in the league.
And some centers.
So if OG started with the Knicks, he's all defensive, and he was third, I believe. So he could be in top in one and runner up for defensive player of the year with Mitch healthy. This team, like the team, is constructed crazy. Yes, we would need a space in three, but how well Hartenstein can space it, at least hit the mid range floater, things of that nature. The Knicks are good. They are good
I,
overall.
I think the Knicks should do what they can to bring the team back,
And
unless something just, you just can't
that was
refuse.
gonna be
I think
my question because I
Precious
feel like
don't get paid.
that's still on the table. I
Precious
think
is
that
going to get paid though.
listen, don't underestimate this front office and
But listen,
how they sign people and the way they structure deals. And again, I said it earlier, he from the Bronx, man. He want to be home if that's if that's a option.
but don't the Knicks have his birds right? Can't they sign? Because this is the
He's
thing.
yeah, he's a restricted.
If you have a championship team, who cares if you get to the second apron? Who
Exactly.
cares if you get to the second apron and you can't improve your team that much more? Um, if you believe you have a championship contending team, what you don't want to do is get locked into that second apron and you don't have a championship contending team and you can't make changes. But if you believe this is a championship contending team and you want to pay everybody, get to that second apron and lock it down,
That's what I was telling Josh. If you feel like the team's contending, then that apron, all the apron talk goes right out the window because you feel like you're here already.
You know what?
You
Precious
already.
got a qualifying offer, so he would have to accept it, and it's only
Mm,
for 6 mil. So he might still be a Nick next year. Yeah, but then he becomes a free agent in 2025.
yeah. Um, this is the only thing about the championship contending talk, and I'm with it. I was the last holdout until that Burke Bogdanovich trade because people wanted to try to convince me we were before that negative. And I get that there's some people even holding out now. There is a difference between being a contending team and actually winning a championship. And what I like about this team is that we're young, and this is the beginning of our window, and it's not a short window. It's not like, our best we traded for LeBron and now we got a 2-year window. Like we're at the beginning of our window. So I know there's some Knicks fans who are like, we can win it this year, and we can. But if we don't, Tibbs need to go. We need to mix. We need to shake up the roster. And I'm like, relax. This is not even a team we started training camp with. We got
Yeah,
OG in December. We have this. They haven't even been in training camp together. If they can go on a run and win it, by all means, do so. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
But let's not overreact if they can't. you know, we're at the beginning of the window. We have time. How long? And I've said this on Dope Soul. How many years have Boston been championship contenders? They haven't won it. How many times was Milwaukee a championship contending team before they actually won it?
right.
Same for Denver. So there's levels to it. We got to see how our team performs the deeper they go into the playoffs because you're playing better teams who not only everybody knows your weaknesses, but because they're a better team, they can exploit it. So, you know, the playoffs are tougher than the regular season, but each round gets tougher and tougher and tougher as well. Any thoughts?
I agree with everything you said. The only pushback that I would give, and this is just really devil's advocate, because um like the pressure's on no matter what. Like look at you reference Milwaukee, you know what I mean? They won a championship and then let their coach go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Now now what they did afterwards didn't really make much sense in bringing in a rookie coach and then firing the rookie coach and then bringing in Doc. You know what I mean? So like all of it, I don't get it, but I mean, I didn't get them firing the coach that won them the championship off of a
Right.
bad year. You know what I mean? With injuries, like I think there was so much perspective that they should have gave Bud another shot. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not advocating for let Tibbs go if he don't make it, but some people in not just fans, I mean, front offices will make that decision if they feel like you not living up to the hype or whatever the case. So but I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, no, I listen. If Tibbs has a championship roster 2-3 years, he doesn't get it done. He does have to go. I'm just saying the
Yeah.
first year without a team that you didn't even wasn't even the team that you had in training camp. That's the only
Right.
thing I'm saying. I would think that's a bit rash.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree 100%. But if he win a championship and then has a faulty year, I think he should get some grace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
as,
Right.
as well. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, shoot, you
Right.
win a championship, you might want to just let him. I don't know if he get extended, but you might want to just let him ride out the contract. I'll live with some bad years after a chip. Shoot, after what we've been
Yeah, no doubt. Um, who's the X factor the rest of the season?
through. Oh, short term. I mean, it really depends on a whole bunch, right? You got. I'm gonna say the X factor is health.
That's what I was going with.
Health is the X factor because it's all across the board. It's not just when Randall comes back or when OG comes back. iHeart and DiVincenzo's injuries aren't um major in the sense where they're like career threatening or anything, but they're major in the sense that the only thing that fix them is time, is rest, and they're reoccurring injuries. So that if you push and you strain and you come back too early, chances are you're gonna lose. You're gonna miss more time later. So those two guys, I think either one of them could be an X factor, right? But they got to be available to be that. Um, that all being said, I'm gonna go with either Burks or Bogdanovich in the short term because we need them immediately. You know what I mean? We need them to fill voids, to fill holes, and I think I answered this on Ron's show, and I said Burks. I'll probably stick with him just because the familiarity with Tibbs. Tibbs will trust him, how to use them in multiple facets. You know what I mean? So he might have the biggest window of opportunity to be the X factor. We've seen him close for us in the past, everything else. So I'll go Burks, short term.
Yeah, so I agree with everything you said. Long term is definitely health. Honestly, we get these players back healthy. It pretty much changed the whole landscape of what the Knicks' trajectory could be for the playoffs and kind of beyond. Short term, it's Burks, honestly, because when Burks came, you can see obviously Burks felt like he was comfortable, so he was just kind of jacking in a sense, rather than kind of going within the flow, going within this new regime that Tibbs have going on right now. And you can see certain of the other players was like, yeah, bro, nah, this not what we do. This is kind of a new rotation that we got going on. And we need Burks to rely because as you see on I forgot it was the second quarter of the game that we was kind of coming back. We were giving him the ball to kind of make plays, make it kind of, and he was like 2 for 14 or something. It's like he definitely didn't have it going. And if Burks had it going that game like he did the previous, I believe that would have been a total different outcome. And we're going to rely heavily on him until the rest of the players come. So Burks is definitely short term, and health is definitely that long term.
Yeah. Um, let me put this up. Um, E. Gibson, Julius Randle is the X factor. He determines how far we go with relative health. And he's talking about the entire season, I would assume, including the playoffs. And then if we're looking that far ahead, I would agree. Um 100%. Randall is the X factor. For the rest of the season though, wow. For the rest of the season, I'm not even sure who the X factor is. Because I feel like it has to be somebody who can fill in during all of these injuries and help keep us afloat. Um, maybe Devo. Um, Hartenstein might be in and out. That's an injury that has to be managed for the rest of the season,
Mhm.
from what I understand. We don't know if Randall will be back, when he'll be back to be an X factor. The same with OG to be an X factor. Um, who can come up basically I'm looking at it is who can come up big for us and keep us afloat during these injuries.
Well, if iHeart wasn't injured, he would be my pick, and that's simply because of him filling in the void in Mitch's absence. But then when you took him out the game, it's a noticeably different roster. You know what I mean? Totally different defense. Like he changed everything with his absence. So if he's healthy, he would be my X factor 100%.
Yeah.
Um,
Because as much as Precious is a good perimeter defender, he's not a rim protector at all. Um, and we could definitely see the difference. Um, maybe Hart. as somebody who can step their game up and help keep us afloat, triple doubles, things like that, just doing everything. Listen, we ain't who we talking about. Hartenstein is injured, OG's injured, Randall is injured. Who can help keep us afloat?
I not to cut you off, Queen.
Mhm.
If we're talking from how you're basing it, then it's Bogdanovich.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's a good
he's the straight shot because he's the player that can put the ball on the floor, so you can go to him in spurts. I won't say he'd double, he'd draw double teams to kind of get some room for Brunson. I wouldn't say to that extent, but his 3-point shot you do have to contest. So when they do run certain plays and have him on the weak side, that's a guaranteed corner shot. Or even at the top of the wing where they gave him ISO plays, he was able to draw fouls and slow the game down.
Mhm.
So, and he's a big body too. So he's someone I think that can be the X factor too. Since like Randall is out, he can be that guy off the bench that can kind of give you 20. Defensively, we don't know yet, but he can kind of still light it up. So I would go with Bogdanovich.
Okay, okay, that's fair. I forgot about Bojan.
And
Um,
Hart, if Hart could shoot the way he was shooting at the end of last year,
What
then
happened?
then I will give him he could be an X factor for sure. You know what I mean? Because he could fill that. I mean, we don't want him guarding up, but he could fill that OG role in a sense until he gets back. But if he could give us that shooting, because you think about it, he's the one man being left open. Uh, throughout this season. You know what I mean? Especially recent stretches, and he's the guy that they double off. You know what I mean? It's so he could really make teams pay if he could shoot the ball adequately. It don't gotta be 50% like last year, like he was doing in stretches last year, but get it to a threat to where they're not leaving you open.
yeah.
Yeah, I
All right.
think with Josh right now, he's kind of banged up. He did play USA basketball. Then, of course, to start the season, it was like a knee thing that they say he kind of needed to get back. So I just think, like you said, he's kind of nicked up, which is why I'm like, you better get those knee drains, man. Let's get it going.
Yeah, I think the expectations for Hart to score, I think we might have to let that go. I just think his scoring is like maybe he'll get a three. Maybe he'll get like two transition or three transition baskets. So that's like 6 points right there. Maybe he'll get you an offensive, well, not like he gonna put it back up. He's just not a scorer type player. Like his points are opportun, transition, he'll hit a three here and there, but he's not a shooter or a scorer, really. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I hear people saying we need Hart to score more, but I don't know if that's him. If that's
I
him,
I think we just need him to not be a liability. Like
Right.
like so I'm not asking you know what I mean. I don't want us to give him the ball to get a bucket.
right?
I want him to be able to hit the shots that they're giving him because they're giving them to him, and that's literally um helping their defense. You know what I mean? Like at times when he's on the floor, and he impacts winning. I love what he does with what he does. So again, I don't want him to be a shooter. I just want him to hit the open ones. You know what I mean? Don't be a liability um when you're open.
Right. Um, I think the most we can get from him is to take the shot. Asking him to make all of the threes, they're leaving them open for a reason. Take them, you know.
He's gotten better at that. He's gotten better at that.
It's a mental thing with
Yeah.
him at this
Mhm.
moment right now because he know his shots are not dropping. So when he catches, sometimes you see his thought process is, okay, no, I'm not going to shoot it, and then he'll try to drive, but then the defense already collapsed. And then there's moments where he do catch it, and he had second guess and then pull it up. It's not dropping. So once he's in rhythm and you get that confidence, I think, because like you said, last year wasn't a fluke. I don't think that was a fluke for you to come in and play like that. So this is something that we should expect from Josh, and I'm assuming when he's a more healthier individual. So, but when we expect something from you as Knicks fans, we expect it. So we need that man to get more buckets, definitely.
I don't know if we can expect, like, he shot 30% in Portland. He shot 55%, 50 something percent, maybe over 50 plus. I don't know if we can expect that from him. I think career wise, he's a below average 3-point shooter for his career. Low 30s. And I just think that's who he is. I think last year, for whatever reason, he got on the heater when he came to the Knicks. And I just don't think that's him from the 3-point line anyway.
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't. All right, let's segue into um, some playoff some playoff questions, or is that too soon?
Oh no, we could get into it. We could get
Get into
into
some
it.
playoff questions. All right. Let's start with, if we're not able to get a superstar or another star, can Brunson be the best player on a championship? Well, he's already on a championship contending team, right? On a championship team, can he be the best player on a championship team? Or do you feel like we need to go out and get somebody better than Brunson?
I think he could be a top 7, maybe even top 6 in MVP votes. So that, you know what I mean? I think that alone says yes, he's good enough. You know what I mean? He's good enough to be the best guy on a championship contending team. And again, we got to see it all formulate, but healthy on paper, you know what I mean? All that. This team, as currently constructed, I think with Jalen Brunson leading the way, and healthy Randall, with all the pieces around him, I think we one of the deepest teams in the league.
No.
So yes, I do think so.
Okay. Michael Sharon. Yes, Brunson can. Look at Steph Curry. I guess he's referring to height. I'm not really referring to height. I'm just referring to period. Is he good enough? I'm not really referring to his height. Um,
Yeah,
okay.
no, 100%, 100%. Jalen Brunson is good enough. Yet this man gets double, triple team. He still finds a way to pivot, utilizes his foot drop step and get to the paint and score in clutch moments. How many years have we been watching Knicks in clutch moments? Melo come through in those clutch moments, Ewan come through in those clutch moments, Clyde come through, Willis, Brunson is in that category. He showed it down in Dallas where Luka was out, and he was able to kind of win them to a series on his own, in a sense. So, and with Julius healthy, with the team that we got around him, for Brunson to excel, you got to put defense and height around him, and this is what the Knicks have done. And you have high IQ players that can feed off of him. Then of course Tibbs need to make certain moves too, because if he's getting trapped early, we need a secondary ball handler out there, which I believe that other players can do. But Brunson himself, clutch moments coming through, like what was that game? Even the controversial game with him bringing us back and pulling through, and
Houston.
right. Come through clutch basket. Like we had the ball down, come through, hit it. So Brunson, he has the gene. He has the gene. He has the mindset. He has the passion, and he has the confidence. So it's 100%. He could lead us to a chip.
Yeah, I agree. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think we've seen his ceiling either. I don't think we've seen his ceiling. Um, we're gonna find out a lot about him because, like I said, the deeper you go in the playoffs, the more it acts for you. Like we think about in Embiid and all of his greatness and the difficulty getting out of the second round. And I'm not by any means saying it's his fault, but it takes a lot out of you because you're playing against better teams who are able to pinpoint you, have the personnel to stop you because they're better teams. And it is those winning a championship is hard. If you think about it, when you get to that level, there are absolutely no surprises. Everybody knows everything.
Right.
And it's just the cream rising to the top. So I do think Brunson has another level. But we'll see. We shall see as we go deeper into the playoffs. Can the Knicks win 50 games, and does it even matter to you, or are you more focused on how far we can get in the playoffs?
You want to take that, Tone?
I think we can. I think we can, but it doesn't matter. I think the most important thing is getting in the playoffs healthy. You know what I
Right.
mean? But yeah, I think we can. 17-10. We got a nice stretch of home games. I want to say maybe 12. Um, no, it's more than 12. But yeah, nice stretch of home games still. To close the year. At least 6 or 7. Like, there's no gimmies, but games that we shouldn't really be worried about winning. Um, yeah, I don't see why we can't win 17 out of 27 games.
Mm. All right, so we need to win what 17, right, to get 50 wins.
Mhm. 17
So
and 10.
yeah, I think it's doable. I think it's doable. And I want the Knicks to actually have more than that because seeding is important. I think like this year, it's wide open in the East, honestly, to kind of win a chip. With Milwaukee going with what they're going through, Embiid is going to be out, but we don't know how long he's going to be out. And those are the top team. The Cavs been playing well, but we feel confident against the Cavs in the sense of trying to deal with that. So it's really the Celtics is probably the only team that you can sit there and say, can kind of beat us straight on in a 7-game series. Everybody else will kind of be, 4-2. This is how I feel. So getting over 50 wins can definitely and put us somewhere to where we're third or second in the East. Go for it, and I think we can do it. Just health is determine everything. But
Yeah.
100%, go for it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter to me if we hit 50, and I'm not even concerned about the seeding as long as we stay in the top 6. As long as we stay in the top 6.
Queen home court advantage for each
If we
round up until
if
the
we
Eastern Conference.
if we can get it, fine. I'm just saying with the injuries that we have, listen, I want us to be the number 1 seed. But what I'm saying is the most important thing is health. So
Right.
if we're not, if players start coming back late, um, and we don't get our chemistry right, and we're losing some games waiting for them while we're waiting for them to come back, and we wind up in the 6th seed, I'm confident wherever the Knicks land. Even if they don't have home court advantage, I'm confident. But I hear what you're saying. If we're healthy, sure. I prefer for us to be in the 1st seed, 2nd seed, if we can do it. Um, but if we wind up in the 6th seed, I'm good. I'm good with it. I think whoever the Knicks in this Eastern Conference, whoever we come up against is gonna be a challenge. Whoever we come up and match up against, I think it's gonna be a challenge one way or another.
Not if we get that 2 seed. You playing a playing team during that, so it gives you that playing team that you played. Then of course you're still playing a lower tier team in that second round. So maybe, like I said, I'm just seeing it from that perspective. Rather, if you in that 6 seed, you're right out the jump. You're
Right. Yeah,
guarding
yeah.
somebody, that can potentially make it to the finals rather than playing a playing
Listen,
team. So
my preference is the 2 seed. My
yes,
preference is the 1 seed if we can
yes,
get it.
yes.
But because of our health, we may not be able,
Oh,
to get the 1 or the
right,
2. That's all I'm
right,
saying.
right.
And
But
I don't
I'm
want to
with you.
sacrifice our health to try to get there.
Correct. That's what I
But it's
think the
not
point I'm
it's
trying
not
to make.
necessarily trying to get there. Overall, we're still trying to win games, So it's not like a situation where it's like, okay, guys, let's if we're Tibbs is still gonna want you to win games regardless of who's out there. So I'm not pushing these guys to the point of
Come back.
exhaustion. Right, right.
Right,
They're definitely not doing
right,
that.
right.
But ultimately, if we can, the goal Tibbs should be pushing is, guys, let's get to this second spot, second or third spot. And yes, don't push it. I don't want Trust me, I don't. I want to be full strength to where certain players ain't getting minutes because Julius and Brunson is able to go out there and drop, 38 minutes and vice versa. Mitch coming
Mhm.
back, stuff like that. But you gotta see it from that perspective. If we get a higher seed, that first round is not going to be as competitive than if we're playing if we're at that six spot.
Tibbs ain't preaching that.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Definitely,
right.
definitely
No,
not.
no, I agree with you.
Every team is if you're in the league, you're good. You can't overlook no. I mean, and I believe in what he says. So
And listen, so I definitely agree with you. I just don't want to sacrifice health
Yeah,
to get the second seed.
I
So
agree with
that's
you.
what I mean.
Yeah,
If 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 being fully healthy means a fifth or sixth seed, I'm good. I'm good with it.
got you.
But don't sleep on the Knicks being the second seed and having to play Orlando or Indiana.
Queen.
I'm just listen. I'm
Orlando.
just trying to give some support to my guys, Sam and Tone. I'm not worrying about Orlando or Indiana. I know we're not a good matchup, but I'm focusing on the fact that they're a young team. We'll be able to handle them.
Now, Indy for the most part, I give it to Indy. Indy, that their pace and how they are with Holly. Yes, that's a series that's going to be a solid series to where Indy can steal a few games if we're not on it. So yeah, I do give Indy, but yeah, I try to stay away from Indy.
Indy don't play any defense, and things slow down in the playoffs. I'm not
Right.
worried about Indiana. I'm just not. Um, I don't want to play Miami in the first round,
No.
but if we have to, I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
All right. We talked about this earlier. In terms of Burks on that second unit with the ball in his hands, the Knicks elected not to get a traditional backup point guard with experience going into the playoffs. I want to say it that way. Maybe they were thinking there's not a lot of minutes left behind. If the player is playing just behind Brunson, we're talking about 10, 12 minutes. Do we really want to use assets on somebody who's only going to be playing behind Brunson for 10, 12 minutes? How about let's get somebody who can play 10, 12 minutes behind him and give us some minutes at the 2 or 3 spot? And I get that thinking, but the non-Brunson minutes in the regular season has been an issue. The team just doesn't play as well when he's off the floor, and I'm concerned about that even more in the playoffs. Um, just your thoughts about that second unit and not having an experienced point guard back there. And the Knicks
well,
have let me just give some more context. The Knicks have to sign 2 players before February 22nd to bring the roster to 14. So that could be Taj and somebody because he's on a 10-day. That should be expiring. So that should be Taj. Could be Taj and a G League player, or that could be any other 2 players. So there's still an opportunity. I don't know who's left. DeLon Wright went to um, Miami. Lowry went to Philadelphia. Is that true?
Yep.
yes.
I'm not sure who's left, but anyway, that just some context as well.
Um, I'm not as concerned only because we're talking about the backup minutes, and I think Burks is adequate. I think most Knicks fans was mad with Burks and Tibbs because he was starting at the point guard position, and he was really out of character. I think he can mine those minutes, um, in the second unit against second unit guards and things of that nature. So that in particular, I'm not as concerned with. As far as the roster spots, I was actually gonna mention this to you because I forgot to bring it up earlier, but the Knicks reportedly have an interest in bringing the Wells back. Um,
Yes, I saw that.
Um,
Just these unhealthy relationships. No, let me stop.
my my my, my only question about that though is if they're doing that, does that mean, you know what I mean, something's not going well in the recovery for Mitch or even Hartenstein?
Mm,
Because that would,
That's
to me,
true.
that would be the only reason to kind of look that route, unless you know something or concerned about something with those guys.
yeah. Um,
Well, isn't Hartenstein's injured? This is a reoccurring injury, right? So
Hmm.
you definitely need a backup center that can defend that paint. Yes, we Jericho Sims, we love Jericho Sims, but from the defensive end, he can guard the wings great. But like you said, that rim protection right now, we don't have that rim protection. So go and get a big, I think is needed, honestly.
but we have two spots. We could get a big and a point guard. Your thoughts? Oh, I wanted to ask Tony, and I'll get to you, delusional. And so so with Burks playing, let's just say 10 minutes, because you figure Brunson's probably gonna get 38, much as he can handle. Is it for you just a matter of him being able to score, or are you confident with him being able to set the team up, get us in our sets, and get us good looks?
I hear what you're saying. Um,
Or is that not
I
even
mean,
important as long as we can score?
it's less important to me as far as the setup. I think
Okay.
we have enough adequate ball movers
Mhm.
that we could figure it out, and we have time to figure that part out right now. You know what I mean? So, like, currently, it's not a concern. Now, as the tail end of the season progresses, based off what I see, that may change.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I think he's adequate enough to bring the ball up, to not necessarily traditionally run sets, but you know what I mean, just get the ball movement. You know what I
Okay.
mean? We got Hartenstein who could facilitate and help create for others. The fact that he could get us a bucket and he don't need somebody else to get him the ball for us to get a bucket is enough for me in
Okay.
that second unit.
Okay. All right. Your thoughts on that, delusional?
I agree, and I'm not worrying about it. Like you said, it'll be in spurts, and most likely he'll either play with Julius or he'll play with Dante, who can also kind of set that tone and kind of set it to where he's the corner three, or he can bring the ball up if they're trapping, just to kind of bring it up with the ball handling. Then of course he can, if Hart doesn't has it going that night, he can jump in at that three spot and kind of create the space into that. So it's a reason why they went and got Burks, because yes, he kind of fills in each hole that we need to. It's not a big hole. It's these little spots that he can fill in for us, which makes it a complete team. So I think that's why it made sense for that Burke acquisition.
That's a good point too. Um, in the sense of Tibbs staggering the lineups. So not having all bench players, you know, out there with, and that would be, if it was all bench players, it would be Burks, Hart, Bogdanovich, Mitch, if he's healthy at the five, and then whoever he chooses from that starting unit to run with, with that second unit. And that could be Devo and that can be Randall.
Yeah,
So Burks is not out there,
and
by itself.
and I don't think you mentioned Precious, and you know what I mean. Like we're 11 deep. You know what I mean? If you throw Deuce in there as well,
Yeah, no
depending
doubt.
on, you know what I
No
mean,
doubt.
depending on given night, given circumstance, what we need that day or whatever. So yeah,
Do you think Tibbs goes past 9 in the playoffs where teams usually shrink their roster? But given, you know, Precious and McBride, do you think he does that, or maybe he expands it, goes against the grain?
I think if all things is going well, I think it's 9. If everything's going well, I think it's 9. I think depending on how tight the game is, or You know what I mean? Where we are in the series, if we're down in the series, I think it reduces. I think it shrinks to 8. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like,
god.
no, I really believe that. I think if we're up in the series or we're up in the game, it's more leeway for Tibbs to kind of spread his wings and give more opportunities. And you know what I mean? When it gets tight, if we down 2-1 in the series, he's only playing 8 people. You know what I mean? Like he's only playing 8 people. And that could be good or bad.
Yeah, this is the thing with Tibbs. Is like concentric rings, and like he has his circle of trust, and then you'd be like, oh, it's expanding. Like he's trusting this person more and more till we get to the playoffs, and that person makes a couple of mistakes, and then it gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter as we go along. You was gonna say something delusional?
I think Tibbs might take a different approach due to the fact that we had so many injuries.
Mhm,
And that he's going to, until we get to the playoffs, he's going to, let's say Julius will play 32 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, because we've seen what Precious can do at that backup
mhm,
four.
mhm.
Now we're waiting to see what Bogdanovich can do. He can play spot up 4 minutes, or we can have him at the three, which with OG was playing most of those minutes. So, and that's an injury. That was an injury player as well. So I think Tibbs will literally roll with a nice little 8 man rotation. But come playoff times, yeah, he's definitely. I think he stays with 8 man rotation for the playoffs.
Wow. Wow, you think it gets that tight? And who's your 8? Who's your 3
So
off the bench?
it's as crazy as it sounds. Mitch will kind of be on the back end until we know how healthy he is. So Mitch is probably playing like spurt minutes 15, because what he likes about Precious the fact that what he could do on the wing. So you can literally kind of switch everything. And in the playoffs, that's vital. So I think Mitch will kind of be on the lesser end unless he's to full form. Then of course you have them two playing. Um, Precious is still going to get his minutes behind Julius.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I think Precious is still going to get his minutes behind Julius. The oddball out, and it's only due to the defense, and it's crazy he plays great offense, is Bogdanovich. Honestly, I think finding him minutes at that 3 and 4 spot, unless Tibbs kind of go big in a sense and have OG at the 2 and bring Bogdanovich at the 3, which we haven't seen. And don't forget, Dante before the injury was only playing like 23, 25, minutes. So he's going back to that. So that's still going to free up minutes for other players, like for Burks in a sense. And Burks is literally the backup point guard, honestly. So when Brunson sit, Burks come in. So Burks will get Brunson and DiVincenzo backup minutes. So I
So
think that's
so
how.
so you're saying 8, and you're saying um Burks, Precious, and Mitch.
Um. Well, yeah, pretty much.
So Hart, you don't think it's gonna
It's we got to
I
find
don't
it.
think he's going 8. 8 is kind of
8 is
tight.
too tough. 8 is tough.
Wow, man, I can't see Hart not playing in the playoffs.
It's situational.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if Bogdanovich comes in doing this stretch right now and can average while everybody's injured and give you the space and give you the shooting, and if he can play some type of defense, it's tough keeping him off the floor as well as it is for Hart. But like you said, that shooting aspect and the spacing of that is very key. Yes, the defense is phenomenal, but we can get that from great team defense with Mitch back, and then you have Dante DiVincenzo, and then you have OG. So what are you missing that you from Bogdanovich or Hart? Like I would rather play Bogdanovich because the other players can substitute for what Hart can do rather than what Bogdanovich gives you with the length.
Yeah. I would
It
be
sounds crazy,
shocked.
but yeah.
No, no, no. No, I
It
hear you.
sounds
I hear
crazy.
you. But I would wow. All right. Salute
Queen,
Freezy.
Queen, I gotta dip out of here. I'm gonna
Okay.
check if you still on. I'll be back.
Okay.
Freezy, salute. Long
Tony
time.
Crow in the building.
We
What's good,
we,
sir?
we 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 gotta link up. I'll talk to you. Delusional chat. Your blackest time.
Later to him.
Freeze, we talked about a whole host of things,
I
but we were
heard.
talking about the playoffs. The last two questions we were talking about was any concerns about the lack of backup experience point guard behind Brunson, and then also, what was the last question?
When y'all were talking about that, I texted you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think probably before we got to it, a little bit before
What?
we got to it.
Okay.
Um, and then we were just talking about the rotation. But yeah, whatever you want to comment on, since you were listening to the show, whatever you want to comment on, you can
So,
comment.
let me say a salute to Delusional. What's good, man?
Freezy, what's going on, brother?
Hey, nah, man. 8-man rotation, bro. You wildin', bro. You trying
Well,
to make enemies?
No, and I know this is one of the delusional talks that's coming out right now. Honestly, and it's tough to see it, but like you said, during the playoffs, we've seen Tibbs sit Grimes, we've seen him sit Deuce during those clutch times, and these are players that he believed in. Yes, it's not a Josh Hart type caliber who changes the game defensively, his hustle, his aggression, 100%. I totally agree. But it's like, so who would be the odd man out in that situation? I'm just going off of a basketball mind, in the sense of like, what I can get out of Josh Hart is what I can get out of OG, who's taller, who's playing small forward, who's starting small forward, right? So then you got the shooting guard position, which is Dante DiVincenzo. So who's coming off the bench for Dante? Is it Burks or is it Josh Hart? Now that may be where he would go with Hart, because Hart been with us for the longest. But then you still need that secondary ball handler to run the offense, which we know Hart is not necessarily.
Right.
So but then Bogdanovich gives you the height, give you the shooting, give you the ISO ability from that. It's just the defense that he's lacking, right? That you can get from the other players. So from a basketball mind and not a Tibbs mind, I just kind of went with a basketball mind from that perspective of who would be the odd man out if I was the head coach. But you guys are 100% correct. Hart will play, but just from my perspective, he would be situational.
Yeah, I think you wildin', bro. And listen, hey, salute to everybody. Salute to nothing but Knicks. I hadn't been here in such a long time. Salute to the chat, everybody in the chat. Much love to y'all, man. I love and appreciate y'all, man. The chat, y'all keep everything going, man. Without y'all, we probably wouldn't have none of this right here. So salute, big up to the chat and everything. But delusional is delusional right now, for real.
Facts.
Right.
I agree.
For one, Josh Hart is going to play because he's partly the identity of this team, right? Part of it, all the wild, aggressive, play hard energy. A lot of that comes from Josh Hart, right? And I think the bench is I think Tibbs, Queen. I'm gonna go extreme the other way. You mind if I go extreme the other way? Queen, I think Tibbs is going to play 10 players. Right now, when I say play 10, I don't mean in a libertous situation where everybody feels like it's equal opportunity. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
the person that get like 8 minutes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's
now, Freezy, are you talking regular season or playoffs?
I'm talking about as soon as everybody get healthy, this is what he's gonna do.
Oh, okay. He's talking playoffs.
No. That's what I'm saying. See, for one, you got to remember we got to get healthy. You don't know when this is going to start. So what I'm saying is, as soon as everybody gets healthy, he's going to start there, and this is going to go into the playoffs. Is what I'm saying, right? Because you don't know, you can't set your rotation when you have question marks everywhere about what unit plays well and
hypothetically, we all talking hypothetically here.
Everybody's healthy.
Yeah. So I'm thinking towards the end of March, right before April, when everybody is healthy. I think Tibbs is going to be playing 10 guys, and then you're going to see that super tight unit that Delusional was talking about, where you might see just 7 guys in crucial moments. But I can't see a world. I don't see a world where Bogdanovich is going to be in a closing lineup, right? Because
Well, I
you
didn't
need
say closing, but yeah.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
Bogdanovich wasn't even in his 8.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
He wasn't in the 8.
So I think you're going to be looking at a starting 5 that's going to be the closing 5, right? I think you're looking at Hartenstein, Randall, OG, Dante, Brunson. And then during the course of the game, you're going to see heavy minutes from Precious and Josh Hart, sprinkled in with some Deuce, Mitch, if he's healthy, and Bogdanovich. So it's going to be 10, but you're going to see, in my opinion, I think you're going to see like a core 7. And the 8th and 9th player is going to be situational. Do you need offense? Then you go Bogey. If you need defense, then you go Deuce or whoever the defense calls for. If you need backcourt defense, then Deuce. If you need front court rim protection, then I think
Sounds
you
like situational to me, baby.
right. Yeah. But I'm saying I think he's still going to play 10, though. I think it's just going to be, coach pressing the right buttons depending on what the situation called for.
Right. I think that's possible in the regular season. In the playoffs, I don't think he plays 10 at all. In the playoffs, I think he plays 9.
Okay.
And I think if I had to bet, I would bet 8 before I bet 10 in the playoffs. I'm just talking about in the playoffs. Everybody better be on your game in the playoffs, Knicks.
Oh yeah.
Roster. Because Tibbs get real nervous if you start making mistakes, and then the next thing you know, you ain't playing. Your minutes have been reduced significantly because he get real nervous. Like, oh my God, you turned the ball over. You ain't ready. You ain't ready. The next thing you know, that person minutes went from 24 to 14.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I disagree slightly though on the 8-man rotation thing. I think conventional wisdom tells you when you watch the Boston Celtics, they'll shave their roster down to an 8-man rotation. When you look at the LA Lakers, they'll trim their roster down to an 8-man rotation. When you see the Denver Nuggets, you're like, okay, they're going 8. Go to the Golden State Warriors, you're like, they'll go 8. But what all those teams have in common that we don't have, those teams have megastars, right, that can make up for a lot of stuff, right? And our approach to it has to be right now strength in numbers, right? Because we don't have a Godzilla or a King Kong, so to speak, right? We have to be strength in numbers, so we got to constantly just keep coming at teams in waves and waves and waves and waves and wear teams down. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is not a superstar. Right. I'm just saying that he's not LeBron in his prime. He's not Tatum yet. He's not Jokic yet. Right. And I'm not saying Randall's a bad player. Y'all know I love Randall. He's my favorite Knick. I'm just saying that he is not Anthony Davis or LeBron in his prime. So, and then our support guys are not those guys either. So we just got to keep coming and beat teams with depth as opposed to depending on Giannis on offense and defense in the last 3 minutes of a game. Giannis is going to make the defensive play, right? Or the offensive play. And we don't have that guy. So we got to keep pushing guys, pressing the right buttons, keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. Yeah, so that's the reason why I say that the 10 shave down to 7 in crucial moments.
I would agree with you. I hope. And the other thing is you can still get away with 9, but it don't have to be the same 9 every game.
Exactly.
It don't have to be the same 9. Like somebody said earlier on the panel, if you're looking for offense, maybe Bogey is that 9, part of the 9. Maybe another night Bogey hardly playing, and because we need defense, and Achua is part of the
and Bogey's 34.
And Bogey is 34. So that's another way to use that's not Tibbs' style though. I would be happy but shocked if he did that. He tends to have the players that's playing, and those are the players that play. But to be able to be like, Bogey's playing this game, the next game is Precious, and Bogey playing the first, and maybe in the second, and we need some spot minutes. We're gonna put McBride in, defensively. I would be surprised. I would be happy but shocked if Tibbs did that.
Right. My only I guess to add to the conversation is, honestly, you've never seen a Knicks roster under Tibbs this deep.
True.
Or with this many
True.
options.
True.
So this is one of the reasons why we hadn't seen it. And so if we look at, as Knicks fans, at the approach where this is probably the best this roster has been under this regime, this front office and this coach, then we have to understand that some buttons that wasn't pressed, say 2 years ago in the
Right.
Kemba Walker season,
Right.
that they wasn't pressed, is because that roster didn't look like today's roster.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
Well, we got to see how they kind of function and operates. Like you said, with the bench, if the bench can't hold it, then of course Tibbs will make that decision. But I'm banking that the bench will hold up on its own, and then hopefully we can ride a 10-man, 9-man rotation going into the playoffs. I'm hoping that can be the case. Honestly, I think we all do.
So how deep do you think this team is?
No, we stated that the team is deep. 100% the team is deep.
No, I understand. I'm asking you, how deep is the team though?
Because we have every position. We have 2 guys at that position that can play.
Are you comfortable with Jericho Sims also?
As situational, I like Jericho Sims, but he wasn't the center or the power forward that I have for the backup. So if we got Julius at the forward, I'm great with Precious. If we got Mitch and Hartenstein at the 5, that's it for the 5 aspect. But as far as Jericho Sims doing what exactly, like playing playoff minutes, I feel good with Jericho, but it just has to be situational. It has to be.
Oh, I'm saying in a sense where, say Julius Randle has to miss 2 games. Say he misses a weekend, Friday and Sunday. I'm okay with Precious Achiuwa and OG Anunoby playing and Jericho Sims playing spot minutes behind them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In terms of the playoffs, we don't ever want to have that situation. You don't want to have any of your best players missing any time in the playoffs. But in a regular season,
right?
If Dante needs to miss 2 games over the weekend and just come back the following Tuesday, I think we'd be okay with Burks or Bogdanovich starting with Brunson and backfilling, pushing everybody up a slot.
Right.
And that's the reason why I asked how deep you feel like the team is, because in my opinion, the reason why I say it is, man, listen, Deuce on the season is shooting 40.7% from 3.
Yep.
One of the slept on guys on our roster, because he's not a rah-rah type person on the court, and he's not a high impact, high usage guy on the court either. He's basically non-assuming or unassuming. Queen Bee, unassuming is the word, right?
Unassuming.
Yeah. So say Deuce is unassuming. Like there is no questionable quotes in the media, none of that. All he do is go out there and play hard, right? So sometimes we forget about Deuce in these scenarios where if Dante needs to miss some time, Deuce is not going to start, right? Let me be clear, right? But Bogey moves up a slot. Now Deuce moves up a slot. And now you have 2 guys in that rotation that are shooting 40% from 3, when one guy in Dante DiVincenzo just needed a 2-game break and he's shooting 40% from 3.
Yeah, no, Knicks are deep, and I'm a huge advocate. Queen could tell you I've been talking about Deuce for a long time, and she's like, I don't see it. But
no, I don't. I don't see it on ball, but I'm comfortable with him off ball, and there's another ball handler in there with him. Yeah.
Right.
I don't have a problem.
Burks or Randall.
Bogdanovich
possibly when
Mhm.
he feels like sharing. Because
Right.
Bogdanovich does get tunnel vision at the rim sometimes. He doesn't see anything else but the rim at times. But gunners, that's what they do, right? You don't expect him to come in and get 10 assists. You expect him to get 10 buckets, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I think the roster is super duper deep. I think this is
Yeah.
probably the deepest Knicks team of my lifetime, right? When you're talking about player 1 through player 11. Now, we've had more top heavy teams over the years, of course, and I think everybody can agree,
Right.
right, to that. But in terms of having 11 quality NBA players on your roster at one time, when you feel, and this is how I know they're quality, because we can start any of them and not feel like all is lost.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, East Blue Drew. I'm watching Tibbs this playoffs. He has no excuse if we healthy. What do you mean in terms of how far we go? Like, what do you mean? Because we're good on paper, we should win the championship, and if we don't, that's a Tibbs issue. Like, what do you mean? No excuse if we're healthy. How far would you like us to go, East Blue? True.
Yeah, I
He's
wouldn't
been
put it
reading.
on
East Blue
Tibbs.
Drew's been reading my text messages. East Blue Drew, stay out my phone.
You were gonna say something delusional?
No, I said I wouldn't put it on Tibbs, honestly, because like you said, the new guys that we brought in are pivotal players that we brought in, so they need time to gel and get an identity. With you saw what Brunson did with DiVincenzo with a training camp and Hart with a training camp, and Mitch and all these guys when we developed that. So just imagine if a guy's had a full year. I'll give Tibbs a full year if we can have this same roster with the training camp, figure out what you got, develop scheme, develop an offense. So just give him a pass. And with this roster, I'm sorry, it's Eastern Conference or bust season, honestly.
Keep in mind, to get to the Eastern Conference, you got to be either Boston or Milwaukee
That's
to
why
get to the.
that second seed is pivotal, Queen.
I mean, the second team, regardless, you still gonna have to. You still gonna have to beat
Right.
one of those teams. I gotta say,
Right.
if we
Right.
lose to Milwaukee in the second round, I'm not calling for. I'm not. I'm disappointed because I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm not. I'm not going crazy. If we lose to Boston in the second round, like I'm not going crazy. We lose in the first round, I'm going crazy. Um, but yeah, I'm not of that mindset. We got to get further than we were last year because every team is different. And if we didn't come up against a soft Cleveland team, we might not have got out of that round. So that's where I'm at. I think when you watch the games, you can see what the issues are. You can see if it's a coaching issue, and you can see if it's a player issue.
Well, I'm going solely based on the roster. I think, like you said, we have a deep team. We have a complete team that I can't see Philly beating us in a 7-game series. Milwaukee itself, I think it could go to 7 games, which Knicks hopefully will have a better record, can pull it out due to home court advantage or during that stretch, because they're having issues with defending. Yes, they could score buckets, but like you said, playoffs is a total different animal. And then with OG, you can throw OG on Dame. Now it's not gonna stop Dame for giving you, 27, 30, but in those key crucial moments of locking down, I think he would make a defensive play that can change the outcome of a game. Same with Josh Hart, or you could throw Hart on him and occasionally have OG to trap on Giannis, or you could throw OG on Giannis. So, it's that where it's just like due to how we can, or all Precious can play spot up minutes on Giannis. We didn't have multiple big bodies that we could have thrown on Giannis previously
I
to
agree
kind of
with you.
slow him down. So it's that aspect of where it's just like
I agree.
why I think this team can go far to that Eastern Conference. I think that's what it is mainly than anything else.
But players got to perform though. Like
Yes.
we could sit here and be like, oh, we could just throw OG on Giannis. Oh, we could just throw Precious on Giannis. Guys got to perform.
This is
You
true.
you get you could throw OG on Giannis all you want. Can he slow him down? You understand what I'm saying? Like that's
Right.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think am I yeah, I think okay. Chad, I might be wilding out, but I just had a sense of like the rain coming in on my parade. Are we saying if we face Doc Rivers in the second round, we gonna lose?
What
Can
I'm
somebody
saying
explain to
is,
me when Doc somebody let me know when a Doc Rivers team made it out of the second round? I can't remember the time when Doc Rivers made it out of the second round.
I'm about to say it probably was in 08 when they won the chip.
Yeah, if we face Milwaukee in the second round, we're saying that a super deep Knicks team is gonna lose to a Doc Rivers team in the second round?
what I'm saying is, paper is one thing, playing the games is another. You ask me, I believe we can beat Milwaukee. No doubt about it.
Right,
But you got to play the games.
right,
And I just think as Knicks fans, we have a team that has been put together through the course of a season.
Right.
This is not the team we exited training camp with. This is
Right.
a team that's been put together through the course of a season, has
But they're
experienced
two massive trades.
2 big trades, a lot of injuries. Hopefully we can get back together with at least and be fully healthy with 10 games left. What I'm saying is we can't overreact and act like this is a team
what
that's
about
been
underreacting? Because if we don't
over.
know, if the point was we don't know, then we can't assume one way or the other if we don't know, right?
Right. I'm not saying I feel we could beat Milwaukee. That's what I said. I
Okay.
feel we can beat Milwaukee, but I'm not going to overreact if we don't. Because this again is a team that's been put together through the course of a season, hasn't really played together, and doesn't have deep playoff experience.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Can we do it? Yes. Am I overreacting if we don't? No. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying this championship a bust.
Yeah, well.
I got
Well,
all my chips, pushing them into the middle of the table. You know what I'm saying?
And you could do so, but I'll tell you this, Freezy. Boston has been championship contenders for how many years? They haven't won it.
Right.
Milwaukee was a championship contender for how many years before they won it? So
Right.
can the Knicks go all the way and win it? Yes, they can.
Right.
But if they don't, how many teams get put together in the middle of a season and win a chip that same season?
Right.
That's
Right.
all
And
I'm saying.
I got you. I think you said it eloquently. Of course, as usual, you use the Queen's English, and the point was spot on. Right. But what I'm saying to you is from a different perspective. I feel as if the Knicks had glaring weaknesses, and they addressed those glaring weaknesses during the season. Right. I got every time I get ready to reference RJ Barrett, my dogs start barking.
Oh, sorry, Jack City. Let me get this. I forgot. Can we try Dwight Howard instead of Noel? I would prefer not. I don't want neither one of them. That's just where I'm at. I appreciate the super chat, Jack City, and my apologies.
I mean, Dwight is not bad, but nah.
Yeah. We haven't seen Dwight and I don't know how long. We haven't seen Boogie Cousins and I don't know how long.
Oh no, Boogie plays in Taiwan League, so I would go with Boogie. He's actually, we all know that's not going to happen. But I would go that route because he has been playing in the league. But then again, like you said, it is in Taiwan though. So
yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm overly optimistic, and I just feel like I'm in a great place as a Knicks fan to even have the audacity to say that the Knicks are not only championship contenders, but we can win it. I feel like as a Knicks fan, just to have the stones, no disrespect to anybody, to just think that way makes me think that the front office, the coach, the roster are all in a great enough place where we can make that run to the championship. And what I also don't assume is just because you make the playoffs as a top seed means you're going to advance. Because I
Right.
don't think the conversation is fair to say, well, if the Knicks do such and such as a top seed, but assume all the other top seeds are just gonna run their lane, right? They can lose to a lower seed just like we can. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? It's just like Queen B said. It's what things look like on paper is one thing, but you got to play the game.
Gotta play
And
the
we
game.
learned that firsthand by watching Milwaukee go down to Miami last year. We learned it firsthand last year, this past season, because the Miami Heat beat us as a lower seed, right? So we understand that higher seed can lose, right? So it's one of those things. I'm betting on that the Knicks have gotten mostly everything right. Mostly, not everything, because no NBA team lives in a perfect world. You'll have to get your fair share of luck and breaks and have things go your way. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's get healthy first. Let's see the team together and integrate this bench with the rest of the rotations. Because, like we said, it's not like the bench is going to play to themselves. They're going to be integrated. There's going to be some rotations on the floor where the bench is integrated with starters, and they have no experience playing together that way. So, the sooner everybody can get back, the sooner we can get um, to that. So, Freezy, the other Tony and Delusional answer these questions. Any concerns about Burks, the Knicks deciding not to sign a backup point guard, electing to go with Burks, who I guess they feel could play behind both Brunson and DiVincenzo. But do you do you feel like it's not that big a deal having somebody that's can't really run a team if he's playing just 10 minutes a game in that position?
um no, I'm not really concerned. I'm not really concerned in that respect. I'm more so concerned with just getting everybody back healthy, right? Because what in my opinion, I've been saying for years, I wish we would go get a veteran like a Mike Conley or Chris Paul or Kyle Lowry to come off the bench and be that guy behind Brunson.
Mhm.
At the same time, right now, where I am as I watch how things develop and we get more information, the Knicks have a bunch of guys shooting 40% from three, and I think that's the great equalizer, right? I don't know if you need a guy to break down an offense and create a shot for someone else when you have Bogey and Burks that can break down defenses and create shots for themselves.
I'm not
Y-
even talking about that. I'm talking about being able to settle a team down and get us into our sets and make sure we get a good shot. You don't think that's and I'm not saying it is, just asking um a concern in the playoffs?
You mean like the other team is on a 6-0 run, you need a bucket. They can Deuce McBride come down and run picket fence with a back pin down for Quentin Grimes for three? No, I don't care. I don't think that's important when I could just give the ball to Burks and Burks can just go get the bucket. You don't even have to call a play, right? You can run clear outs for Bogey and he can get a bucket, or he and Burks can play together and get buckets. And in those situations where teams are, say, going on those type of runs, in the playoffs against us, I don't think you can depend on the backup power forward when your season's on the line. I think you adjust your rotation, get your starters back on the floor to go get your bucket, and salute the quiet money also.
Okay. All right. So basically, um, And,
That's two things. That's two things that I'm saying, right? You ask me, am I concerned? No. But would I would like for them to do it? Of course.
right.
Of course, I would like for them to do it. But is it does it concern me? No, not as much as it used to.
Let me tell you why it concerns me a little. Burks, and I was pushing for Burks,
Me too.
and then I saw him these last few games, and I just want him to be a little more discerning. And maybe it's because our full complement of players is not here. I just want him to be a little more like he just looked he just looked like he out there just running around putting up shots. You know, and in the playoffs, sometimes you don't need somebody to just, even though he can get his own shot, you don't need somebody that's going to just come down. Yes, we need a basket. I don't know if we need somebody that's just going to come down and pull up or come down, dribble out the clock. And I don't know. I'm just looking for a little more discernment
And continuity on the second unit offensively.
in use of the clock. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
I'll chalk it up to, like you said, he was thrown in. They barely probably had any practice, and he still had that Detroit mentality, Queen. So once he gets settled in, I think he'll be good.
Okay,
I'm gonna chalk it up to our bench looking atrocious due to injury, because our bench players, unfortunately, when Burt got here, a lot of them were starters, right? Because we had so many people out due to injury. So am I worried that a second unit with Burks being a scorer on it? No. But when Burks was here, I'm looking at Burks, Bogey, Taj Gibson, Jacob Toppin, Deuce, and Jericho Sims. See, there's a different look to it, right? But if everybody is healthy and it's Burks, Bogey, Precious, and Josh Hart, then I'm looking at it different. As opposed to, I'm thinking, can Jacob Toppin walk and chew bubblegum at the same time? Is Todd Gibson washed up? Right? I think it's levels to it. I don't want to judge Burks based on that, especially when Taj Gibson is farting while he reaching for rebounds. You know what I'm saying? Especially when Taj Gibson was so tired, he was grabbing his back. We know he was tired. You know what I'm saying? It's I think we got to kind of keep it in. I am trying to keep it in a certain perspective. I don't want to judge how everybody else views it. But the second unit recently is not the second unit we expect to take into the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
Am I dependent on? I saw Deuce McBride give Taj Gibson an entry pass into the post, and I was like, yeah, we got to hurry up and get back healthy. What's Taj Gibson gonna do with a post entry pass?
Yeah, he tried though.
Yeah,
he
he
turned it over and fell down. I said, "Come
and grabbed his back."
on, you're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Yeah,
doing too much. All
yeah.
right. Anything else? We played Philly out of the break. For whatever reason, I'm super confident against Philly, the Knicks in a playoff series, even with Embiid. I just feel like that team. You're not gonna sell me on Oubre and Harris and whoever they got on that team. You're just not gonna sell me on that they can beat the Knicks in a 7-game series. I just don't believe it.
I'm confident against Boston. And that Boston, that's the team. I feel like hurry up and get us to Boston. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the team, because there's no way a Knicks fan is going to tell me that Boston, but the reinforcement the Boston Celtics brought in was the Memphis Grizzlies backup center. That's your plan B? Okay, I can't wait to see y'all.
Yeah, but Freezy, they don't need a plan B. You see where they at? You know what I mean? They may not have felt like they needed to make, big changes. I listen, I think the Knicks can beat Boston. I ain't as super confident as I am against Philly. But I think the Knicks can beat Boston for sure.
May I tell you the team I am nervous about though?
Who's that?
and I don't know why. It's just a hunch. I don't have data or analysis or statistics to back it up. But the Indiana Pacers scare me, right? I
I
don't know
totally
why,
agree.
right? But when they beat us the other day, they were celebrating like they won a chip, like they knew they had the answer for us, even though we were injured. It gives me the sensation like they had us circled, like they had us marked, right? Because you don't see a random NBA game mid-season against a team, and then you start celebrating, and people start pointing. And that's the game that Obi tried to dunk and got stuck on the rim. You remember the game I'm talking about?
Yep. Yep.
Yo, they beat us, right? And they were celebrating like they did something, and that gives me February nerves that this team feels like if they get us in April, they can do something. And I don't know if it's true. I doubt they can beat us, but it's not me. It's not about me being confident in Indiana beating us. I think the Knicks will wash Indiana. But if Indiana has an unreasonable confidence, unrational confidence against us, thinking if we get the Knicks, they can beat us, then they might be a problem for us.
So yeah, I brought that up with Queen, but Queen brought up a good point about the playoffs. I said Indy is definitely their spacing. Their spacing, they run their possession. They're they're probably the fastest possession team. The Knicks, we definitely don't get back off of made baskets as much as we need to, and the Indy would definitely run on us. But it's Halliburton. I believe it's the same. If you take Halliburton out the equation, that Pacer team will collapse. So we just gotta lock that up. Because remember that the game before that, when Halliburton went down because he was on minutes restrictions, they were up. He went down, Knicks went on that run, and we closed it out. And I see it as, but when he played that last game, of course, we was depleted. And he just kind of closed it out and just kind of demolished us with the long threes, what's his name is what number one in the league in 3-point shooting right now. What's the other dude, the guy on their squad?
Um,
Who's their starting shooting guard?
I don't know
Nemhart,
now.
Nemhart, Matherin,
No, I don't think it's neither one of
Lee
them. But
Smith.
Because Buddy Hills is gone. Buddy Hills is
no, not even Buddy. It's this other the other guard. I think it's Nate. Was it Naismith?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like top of the league in 3-point shooting, and we left him open quite a few times. So, and Tibbs' offense, we're gonna crowd that paint before we're gonna give up. We're cloud the paint, which leaves that weak side three open, and it's always leading to those situations. So, we just get Halliburton out to defend the 3-point line, we'll be fine against Indy. But yes, that is a team that can definitely sneak a series.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they beat Milwaukee 3-0. They beat Boston. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I think when we're healthy, I think they don't have a fighting chance because how they run is on, and I know this is going to sound weird, but how they run is on the opposing team's missed shots. They grab the rebound and they get out and run. But they're facing a team that's probably one of the better offensive rebounding teams in, say, the past few years in the New York Knicks, right? Precious does it. Hartenstein does it. Mitch does it. So if you're talking about preventing them from getting out and running, I think that's how you beat them, and then make Tyrese Halliburton beat you, make him facilitate in the half court, and that plays to his weakness, right? But the thing is, it's not about like the game strategy. I think it's all about their unjustified confidence that they feel like they can beat us. Is what I'm saying, and that makes me scared. Is probably a strong word. I'm just gonna say it makes me nervous.
Right.
Orlando doesn't make me nervous, because what we figure is let Boncaro have whatever it is. Don't double him. Just let him. Of course, you're going to defend him, right? but don't cater your defensive game plan to stopping a power forward that's game is predicated going to the rim, right? It's like the principle you use for Randall, right? You don't let Randall go for whatever he's going to go for and shut everybody else down, right? So Orlando, I feel confident. Chicago, not Chicago, but Cleveland, I'm confident against. I still think they're soft. You know,
I
when
don't
you
know.
watch them, when
They
you watch,
rolling. They rolling though. That's another
right,
team you got to watch out to.
right, they're rolling. But if you don't see every game in their schedule that they played,
Oh, they got they got the weakest schedule.
yeah, yeah. So it's one of them things. Like I understand who Cleveland is, right, and I feel like a combination of Dante, OG Ananobi, and others can shut down their perimeter offensive scoring attack and force them to score from their front court, which plays right into our hands.
Yeah. Just moving on to our next game against Philly Thursday. I'm not, it sounds like iHeart, DiVincenzo, and Bojan should be back. At least prior to the All-Star break, that was the reporting that they should be back after the All-Star break. Just your thoughts on this team with those players versus Philly, who I believe will still be without
Embiid.
Embiid.
Yeah,
You want to go Freezy?
sure. I'm not concerned about Tyrese Maxey and Buddy Hill backcourt at this point without gravity in the paint. I think we can afford to smother the perimeter and force those 10,000 wing players that they have to dig into their offensive bag. Right. I want to see Kelly Oubre put the ball on the floor and play make that plays into our hands. I want to see their spot up shooters have to dribble the basketball and make a play. I think that plays into our hands. So if you're asking me about the Philly game, I'm not saying overlook them. I'm just confident. I'm confident. Is it Queen Bee? Is it in the Garden or in Philly?
Philly. I think it's Philly.
Okay. Yeah.
Somebody let me know if I'm wrong.
I got it. Give me 2 seconds.
So we'll be starting Brunson, Devo, Hart, Bojan, and Hartenstein.
It's in Philly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm confident. How did we do the last time we were in Philly?
We won
We won.
We blew
with
them out. Yeah, that's
Embiid.
the game. We blew them out even with Embiid,
With
right?
Embiid, yeah.
Yeah. But we had OG Ananobi and others at that game. So, but this time I think they'll be starting Paul Reed at center.
Yeah, Knicks are gonna win. Yeah. The Knicks will win. I think having Hartenstein back and Devo helps us a lot.
Yeah.
It helps us a lot.
Yeah. Who do we play after them though?
Toronto, I believe.
Ooh.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm usually
Celtics, sorry. Boston.
Oh. Yeah.
At the Garden. I might want to get to that game. When is that? The 24th? The Garden be having the tight seats though. My goodness, your knees be all up in the chair in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get those sweets, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those. So we're So we.
I wish we was full strength. I do want to see us full strength against Boston and Milwaukee, but I have to wait till the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the schedule, Queen Bee. I'm thinking I'm confident in a lot of these games. I'm confident in about 65% of these games that we have left. Right? So we have Philly, Boston, Detroit, New Orleans, Golden State. I think the game that I'm looking for the most is March 3rd at Cleveland. If we can get Randall back if we have Randall back, OG back for that, I think we send a message to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And the All-Star game was trash.
yeah, we spoke about that.
Oh my God. Oh my can we just pull the plug on some of this stuff? The NBA dunk contest featured 2 primary G Leaguers.
Yeah.
Well, I be thinking it's because some of these guys see what these judges are giving the players, and they're not going to risk their reputation of trying to join, knowing that some of these guys are actually doing solid dunks and getting, horrible scores.
Mm-hmm.
I know I wouldn't want to.
I think they give it horrible scores because they have horrible participants.
I wouldn't say that. Regardless if it's an individual from the G League, if you do a dunk that I never saw before and it deserves a 50, you get a 50, not no 47. I don't care who participates in it. Just let me see some dunks I never seen before, or hype up the crowd or bring something. So there's still certain dunks that I see guys do and other outside dunker stuff that I've never seen before. And I'm like, wow, somebody could do that in the NBA. Why is that haven't been done yet? So. But I truly believe it's just that it's not organized correctly in a sense. If it was done kind of well,
but you are a smart, reasonable, everyday guy, right? Right. You're a smart, reasonable, everyday guy. But if your name was Vince Carter, and you watching people dunk, you like, who's this guy again? Where's he from? This dude, where's this guy? You know what I'm saying?
But then you have those guys do the judging. Don't have somebody from 85 that their best dunk was a windmill. No disrespect, Dominique, but give a guys an 8. They gave Jaylen Brown a high score off of literally doing a windmill.
Yeah, listen. First of all, shout out to all of us that was in high school in '85 or just graduated. Yeah, I was like a junior. So shout out to everybody from back then. But I understand what you mean. Right. But I feel like you got to keep the old timers a part of the game somehow, right? You got to keep. But yeah, I just need to see Anthony Edwards in a dunk contest. Can I see a Anthony Edwards in the dunk contest versus Ja Morant? Can I see that? Oh no, I can't. Oh, I got to settle for Mac McClung. Okay, and Jacob Toppin. All right, I got you. Everybody getting a 7.
Yeah. Well. Anyway. All right. Anything else before we close out?
Road to 53 wins, Queen. That's what we're pushing for. Road to 53 wins. Solidified top 3 spots. And we rolling from there.
Right.
Okay. If we can do that, healthy and not at the expense of our health, I'm all for it.
Are you concerned that this regime hadn't gotten their contract extension yet?
Yeah. I'm like, how much more do you want to see?
Yeah.
I think it's so unfair to be like, all right, I'm gonna let y'all go in the playoffs. I want to see what y'all doing. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think they've done enough already to be extended. But
I think we're in a
regarding who? Sorry,
the front office
and Tibbs. They came in at the same time. I think we're in an odd place. I like it in some capacity, and then I think it's not fair in another. But I think it's not fair in a not fair capacity because this is the first time that a regime has actually performed well enough to even get in this stitch of time where we're considering renewing a contract, right? And so it's not fair to them for doing a great job, but at the same time, this is a new place for everyone, right? By this time, previous regimes would have been fired 2 years ago.
Right.
So I feel like it's not fair, but I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll happen. It'll happen this summer. Because I think we're at the beginning of our window. And I think this is not the time for change, in my opinion. You know.
No.
But we'll see. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, stranger things.
Stranger things have happened. Shout out to the chat. I appreciate everybody joining us. Let me just end with the MBK family of shows. Shout out to Simeon Russell, the creator of the channel, who does the pregame, postgame, and the shoot around. The NBA wrap up with Ron and Still Nick fans. The controversy with Josh, aka Uncle Fulio. The Losers Lounge with Tony Crow, who was here earlier with us of Knicks and Bruises. Live shows and videos by International Andy, who will be in the United States in I think about 2 weeks.
2
So I'll
weeks.
get a chance to meet Andy. I believe it'll be at the Philly game in New York on March 10th.
Okay.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yep.
Queen's Court with yours truly of Dope Soul Sports Talk. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We go live every Friday. And actually this Wednesday, ladies' night, we go once a month. So BX Chris will be there. Lady and the Chef will be there. Ebony of Nick of Time and Venture Sports Network will be there as well. Not sure if Tsunami is joining us anytime. Maybe Pam Willis will pop up. And if there's any other ladies out there who want to join us, just DM me so I know where to send the link. And then again, special programming and events by Simeon Russell. And with that, we are out of here. Peace, fam.